Part 61. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 601. The person who came here is not kind, Zheng Xuefeng sighed in his heart. Although Feng Qingxiu was the first to join the army, she did not leave after visiting relatives and stayed directly after her application to join the army was approved. Wang Beizu was the first family member to join the army in the true sense. Everyone has thought about many kinds of scenes when family members arrive, but we never expected that this would happen. Soldiers fight bloody battles on the front lines to protect their families and the country, while their wives take care of the elderly and children at home. Originally, everyone thought that the women who did this must be magnanimous, kind-hearted, strong in character, without regrets, and have no faults in their character. With the common life experience, after joining the army, they can quickly become one, and the neighbors are harmonious and happy. Reality slapped them hard. No, it was Wang Beizu's appearance that shattered all their previous expectations. How can such a person live in harmony with other family members? Who wants to contact them? He had to do everything possible to be on guard against Wang Beizu's overt robbery, and perhaps secret theft, and against Zhu Rong's two sons beating his own children. The clothes Feng Qingxiu was wearing were made of tweed, not a very good material. It was far worse than her sweater. It was just new. Such an ordinary piece of clothing can trigger Wang Beizu's desire to snatch it, let alone other things. Zibao has a lot of things, especially food. They receive it every 3 days. Zhang Xiaoyu's father and brother really sent a lot of high-priced goods. No matter how much Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu refused, everyone remained the same. The personalities and conduct of Wang Beizu, mother and son, are so unexpected. To the military family members in the family compound, their existence is like a landmine that can be stepped on and explode at any time. Don't think that Lu Zhang has the highest rank. That's because the families of senior generals are far away and haven't arrived yet. Commander Chen's wife has no time to take care of her grandson at home and will not join the army in the near future. Ye Zhenjun's children are all grown up and have their own jobs. His revolutionary partner will come to stay for a while recently to take care of Ye Zhenjun. It is said that he is on the way. At least half of the divisional political commissars, chiefs of staff, and ministers will have their families come here one after another, either for a long stay or a short stay. In addition, there are some soldiers who have the same position as Lu Zhang or whose status is lower than him and have family members accompanying the army. According to statistics, there are about 30 or 40 family members who are willing to accompany the army, including partners, not children. Therefore, the soldiers have to start work tomorrow to build another batch of dry fortresses and underground shelters, waiting for the family members of the army to move in. In an instant, countless thoughts ran through Zheng Xuefeng's mind. He looked at Wang Beizu, who was sitting on the ground again, acting like a rogue, and saw Zhu Rong next to him, whose face was green and white, extremely embarrassed. "Comrade Zhu Rong," Zheng Xuefeng said, "it's getting late. Let's go to the cafeteria to eat first. Let's discuss this matter later." Discuss, of course we have to discuss, and we have to hold meetings. As soon as he heard about dinner, before Zhu Rong could respond, Wang Beizu got up, patted the dirt and grass on his body, and called to his two sons, "Fugui, Fuqiang, let's go have dinner with your father. Troops, take care of your food and stay, and take care of your food. There must be a lot of delicious food in the cafeteria. Let's have a good meal." Zhu Fugui and Zhu Fuqiang immediately swallowed their saliva and cheered, "It's time to eat. It's time to eat. It's time to eat." The greedy look on Zibao's face when he heard about eating was extremely cute, but the two brothers in front of him looked hateful. Zheng Xuefeng regretted saying that. He didn't know that Wang Beizu, mother and son, could be so shameless. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 602. It is impossible to refuse at this time. When Zheng Suifeng was upset, Zhu Rong said, "Political commissar, let's take the luggage to the house first, and then I'll go get food. Comrade Wang Beizu and the 3 children are not soldiers in the army, so it's not appropriate to go to the cafeteria to eat. He has already humiliated enough people, and he doesn't want to continue humiliating himself in public." Because of his mission, Zhu Rong went home twice in 10 years. The last time was 5 years ago. Every month of every year, as long as circumstances allowed, he would send home his salary, military supplies and old military uniforms on time. I didn't expect that my wife and son would become like this. Once upon a time, his wife was also a gentle and kind-hearted lesbian, with a measured approach. 2 years after their marriage, she was drafted into the army. Her eldest son had just been born. The wife, who was 3 months pregnant, told him categorically, "You can go to the army without any worries. Leave everything to me. I will take care of our parents. You don't have to worry about the children. You are fighting on the front line, and I will protect our home at the rear." Touched by his wife's support, Zhu Rong joined the army with confidence and worked hard until he finally became a company commander. He is no longer a soldier, but where is his wife? Where is the child? Has time changed people? Or does experience change people? Is it because he only cares about the country and has no energy to take care of his family, so his wife made such a change? Even her children learned to be as greedy and vicious as her. Zhu Rong was confused and guilty at the same time. He felt that his long absence from home was the result of today. Kind people always look for reasons within themselves, but mean and vicious people don't understand the other person's painstaking efforts. He glared with 2 triangular eyes and said fiercely to Zhu Rong, "Zhu Das Hao, what do you mean? I'm thousands of miles away. Do you think I'm embarrassing you when I bring my children to you? Why can't I go to the cafeteria? Zhu Das Hao?" Zheng Suifeng put his fist against the corner of his lips to hide the little smile. Zhu Das Hao is Zhu Rong's real name. Poor people in the countryside will give them nicknames, and many people use their nicknames as famous names. Zhu Rong is one of them. Zhu Rong was changed to a name by Ye Zhenjun after he had been a soldier for several years. He felt that Zhu Das Hao was the real name of Zhu Rong. It's a bit unseemly to be coquettish. Zhu Das Hao, isn't he just a pig? Zhu Rong sighed deeply, suppressed the indescribable emotions in his heart, and said to Wang Beizu, "I don't mean anything, I just want you to go to the house and have a good rest. I will get food, and you can also have food." Troops. There are army regulations, the canteen has canteen regulations, and different levels have different meals. If you are running around with your children like this, who is willing to give you food? Isn't it just about queuing up? I'm just lining up. Who dares not to give me food, I will smash their pot, Wang Beizu said nonchalantly, and said to his son, "Right, Fuegui, Fueqiang, you follow me Q. Just wait in line, as long as you have enough food to eat." Zhu Fuegui stretched out his arm and wiped his nose with his sleeve. Apart from marching and fighting, there are really no conditions. Zheng Suifeng is known to be very clean. His son Zheng Ben is very hygienic. Zibao, who I have seen often recently, is clean and cute. Although he is crawling around with the generals in the camp, he was covered in dirt, but when he showed up the next day, he was definitely a clean baby. When he sneezed, he knew to stop and wait for an adult to wipe it off. Therefore, seeing the shiny stains on Zhu Fuegui's sleeves, Zheng Suifeng felt sick to his stomach and almost wanted to vomit. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 603. Sang Hong also felt unsightly. He raised his head and looked at the sky. Well, the meal time has passed. I'm afraid there will be no food left at this time. He drove to pick up people with Zurong early in the morning, and he hasn't had a drop of water yet. You haven't eaten a grain of rice yet, your stomach is pounding, and you've missed your meal time. What should you do? I still have to participate in daily training and study in the afternoon. He is a soldier, not an officer like Zurong. By the way, go ask Feng Qingxiu if there is any food at home to satisfy her hunger. Thinking of this, Sang Hong made a gesture to Zheng Suifeng and slipped away quietly. He didn't want to continue watching Wang Beizu play rogue, and he didn't want to see Zurong's helplessness of being unable to do anything to his wife and children. What's all this? On the way, he realized that Wang Beizu didn't look like a good person, and it was just as he expected. Lu Zhang didn't eat and had to lead people for training in the afternoon. Feng Qingxiu started making arrangements when she got home. Of course, before that, she made food for Zibao. Now she and Lu Zhang are still cooking, while Zibao is sitting on the Kong table. In front of me, I happily ate the scallion pancakes in the bowl. Ziba is almost 2 years old. If he continues to drink milk powder, outsiders will have to wonder. Where can he drink so much milk powder until he is 2 years old? Therefore, Feng Qingxiu consciously gave him food instead of milk powder. Anyway, when Zibao drinks milk from his mouth, he does not necessarily mean drinking milk powder, but it does mean that he is hungry. Hearing Sang Hong shouting outside, Lu Zhang called him indirectly. After hearing his purpose, he noticed that his face was a little red, and he immediately smiled. What's so embarrassing about this? Come here just like your own home, sit down for a while, come down and eat with us. That's right, you two brothers, just wait for a while, the food will be ready soon. Sang Hong and Jinzuzu usually buy all kinds of delicious food for Zibao. Sang Hong just comes to have a meal, let alone a meal. Feng Qingxiu welcomes all meals, even 10 meals. As she talks, she quickly stirs the dried beans in the wok to stir-fry bacon, which she soaked in the morning. As the weather got warmer, the stove connected to the Kong stopped. Lu Zhang built a small earthen stove in the west corner with a chimney outside the wall. The stove and pot are also small, but enough for a family of 3 to cook. After frying it, it was taken out of the pot, and then another green vegetable was fried. Feng Qingxiu spread some seeds in the yard and it grew well. There are 2 dishes, 1 meat and 1 vegetarian, 2 noodle pot cakes and butter tea. Lu Zhang opened another box of lunch meat and called to Sang Hong, "You're welcome. I won't have the strength to participate in training until after I eat. There are so many people in our army that we can't even invite them. But if 1 or 2 come to sit down occasionally, we can still affordable." Sang Hong smiled and was not polite. At the end of the meal, more than half of the lunch meat was left. Sang Hong looked over and over again. Feng Qingxiu asked him what was wrong. He said sheepishly, "Sister-in-law, can I take the remaining lunch meat? I want to give Zuzu some extra food." Feng Qingxiu smiled and said, "Of course, the things you usually send are not only more expensive than lunch meat, but also in larger quantities." She turned around and took out another bag of dried yak, wrapped it in gauze along with half a can of lunch meat and stuffed it to him. "Everyone bought this for Zibao. Give it to others to let them know that everyone's faces are not good looking. Take it with you. When I was eating, I avoided people so as not to let people see me and be robbed openly like today." Hearing her mention Wang Beizu, Sang Hong's eyes flashed with disgust. The political commissar must have a headache now. Such a person must not stay in the army. It's a pity for Company Commander Zhu. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 604. It took Zheng Suifeng a long time to reluctantly arrange for Wang Beizu, mother and son, and ask the cooking team to cook a meal for them alone. Then he quickly went to find the commander and Ye Zhenjun. After hearing this, the latter had big eyes. Stare. There was no way, this was the first time they had heard of someone like Wang Beizu. It's really that. Ye Zhenjun didn't finish his words, but his meaning was expressed clearly. Zheng Suifeng picked up the enamel jar where Ye Zhenjun's porcelain had fallen off and drank half of the water in it. It's really not that difficult. Now, I have to give Comrade King Xiu a thumbs up. That kick was good. For a long time, I wanted to beat Wang Beizu and her son 3 times. If it weren't for Zhu Rong's sake, I would take action. Commander Chen said in surprise, a good guy like you wants to take action. Zheng Suifeng is a well-known good guy in the army. He speaks and acts in a very gentle manner, and no one has ever seen him get angry. It's hard to put it into words. Zheng Suifeng smiled bitterly. Ye Zhenjun frowned and said, my wife will be here in 2 days. How can we live with such a neighbor in the stall? Can't we guard him day and night? If we are not afraid of thieves, we are afraid that thieves will miss him. She wants to snatch every piece of Comrade King Xiu's clothes, let alone others. Things. My wife has no other hobbies. Now that things are better, she likes to wear 2 good clothes. Said to be his wife, in fact, Ye Zhenjun is less than 50 years old, and his wife is only in her 40s, but they have been married for 30 years, and they usually call her wife. Zheng Suifeng spread his hands and said that he had nothing to do. If Wang Beizu, mother and son were left behind, other family members accompanying the army would definitely suffer. If they had not been left, Zhu Rong would have reached the level. Wang Beizu, mother and son indeed met the standards for joining the army and had passed their application for joining the army. What would Zhu Rong think if they were driven away? What do the other soldiers think? There have never been any regulations or precedents in the army for deporting family members who are accompanying the army because of their shamelessness and cruelty. There are so many things to consider. Commander Chen clicked his tongue twice. First tell Lu Zhang and ask him to reduce his work, or give it to Shang Kun to take command, and let him go home to eat at noon and sleep at night. Wang Beizu and his family live in the family home courtyard. No matter what I think, I don't feel at ease. Zibao is so young. By the way, Suifeng, did you just say that Comrade King Xiu is pregnant again? Yes. I think Wang Beizu must have gone too far, and that's why Comrade King Xiu kicked her holding one and carrying the other. Both children are the thorns in their hearts. What mother doesn't protect her child? Good kick. No one thought Feng King Xiu was at fault, but the 3 of them looked at each other and revealed one meaning at the same time. How should Wang Beizu's family deal with it? Deporting them is unrealistic, and letting them go back to continue causing harm to their neighbors. It is estimated that when they joined the army, their fathers and fellow villagers must have been telling each other and clapping their hands to celebrate. When they returned, it was a disaster all over again. Staying is still the same problem as before. What should other family members do? Not everyone has Feng King Xiu's courage. The most important thing is that some family members must have brought their children to reunite with their husbands, and let those innocent children live under the viciousness of Wang Beizu, mother and son? How could they bear it? At this moment, Zhu Rong came over and asked for orders to garrison at the outpost. What's the hardest task? In the border military region, the most difficult place is the outpost, and the hardest working soldiers are none other than the soldiers stationed at the outpost, ranging from 3 to 5 to as many as 100, some of whom are exposed to ice and snow all year round. Most others earn 4,680,000, but I have 12,000 today, and at least 10,000 in the past few days. How can you bear to not give me a monthly recommendation ticket? Oh, back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 605. The sentinels who stick to the outpost have not come down from the mountain for many years. Suffering is suffering after suffering. The outpost in the plateau area is located in the high mountains. It is a world of ice and snow all year round. Entry and exit rely on two legs. Even the logistics soldiers delivering supplies must rely on two legs. Commander Chen said in a deep voice, "Comrade Zhurong, do you understand what you mean by asking for help?" Understood. A wry smile appeared in Zhurong's eyes, but his face was full of seriousness and perseverance. "If possible, I will apply to the army to bring my family with me to the post." At this time, Commander Chen, Ye Zhenjun, and Zheng Suifeng all looked surprised. "Are your whole family going?" They thought Zhurong wanted to guard the outpost so that his wife and children could retreat and return home. "I have a responsibility to them. It was my neglect of discipline that led to today's results," Zhurong said seriously. "If I hadn't been in the army for more than 10 years, then at least they wouldn't be like this if I was at home. Just now here she is causing trouble unscrupulously, but sister-in-law Kingxiu does not offend them. She is very polite to them, but just because she dresses better and Zibao is fatter, she becomes a thorn in their side. Comrades, do you know? They were in front of me, cursing and saying that Zibao was a fat man. They thought that because Zibao was so fat, his family must be rich and had a lot of good things, so they wanted to rob him to eat for themselves. I could almost imagine the difference between this and a robber. What a reputation they have in their hometown, and how dare the fellow villagers dare to speak out? I can't let them run amok in the army, and I can't let them go back to their hometown to cause harm to the hometown. It is not too late to remedy the situation. As the head of the family, he must pay attention to the character and habits of his wife and children. Even if it takes him a lifetime, he must get rid of the bad habits of mother and son. If he cannot get rid of them, if they can't change, then I will keep them stationed at the outpost for the rest of their lives." Zhurong has made up his mind. The three people present were immediately moved. "Comrade Zhurong, actually, there is no need for you to apply for transfer just to correct their habits. What they did cannot be recorded on your head." Zhurong replied, "Comrade Commander, I am the head of the family. They are my wife and my children. I have the responsibility of educating my children in front of the court and my wife by my bedside. I cannot use the excuse that I have been away from home for more than 10 years in the army." He said that I have nothing to do with them becoming like this. It is the father's fault if the son does not teach, and it is the husband's fault if the wife does evil. Just go to the outpost, and the whole family will go. In the past 10 years, I have not done anything to educate them. Responsibility, use the rest of your life to compensate them." Comrade Zhurong, you. Ye Zhenjun and Zheng Suifeng didn't know what to say. "I am a soldier. I have the responsibility to fight for the country. I also have family responsibilities. Whether I am here or at the outpost, don't I still serve the country? Why can't I stay where the sentry can stay? They are all raised by their parents, so there is no distinction between them." Zhurong thought very openly. "I ask Comrade Commander and Comrade Commander to agree to my application. At the same time, I would like to make another request, Comrade Commander." "Never disagree with Comrade Commander." Commander Chen asked what the request was, and Zhurong said, "During the period before the deployment, please allow me, Comrade Commander, not to participate in training and not to come to the camp to handle my work. Just treat it as a leave of absence for me, okay? I want to hand over all the work in the company to the deputy company commander, and then go and guard the three of them. I can't let them act recklessly before the redeployment order is issued." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 606. Before looking for the leader, Zhurong specially found 4 soldiers in the company who looked ferocious, serious, and quick to attack, and specially guarded in front of the family room allocated to his family to prevent Wang Beizu, mother and son, from stepping out of half the room. Step. Zhu Rong is not afraid that his wife and children will embarrass him. After all, it is his wife who has raised his 3 children, but he does not want to provoke public anger. Although it's a bit power-seeking, everyone understands. In this short half-day, the news about Wang Beizu's mother and son's actions almost spread throughout the military camp, and the people were immediately indignant. Feng Qingxiu is so good, gentle, beautiful, and extremely kind-hearted. When the soldiers below ask her for anything, as long as it does not involve the tasks and regulations of the army, as long as she can do it, she has never refused. How many soldiers were wearing the shoes she made? The cavalry company caught a rabbit and gave it to the mother and son as a snack, and finally returned to the cavalry company's cooking class. Wang Beizu actually dared to attack her, and she was still pregnant and holding Zibao. Zibao is so cute and sleeping soundly. If something happens to Feng Qingxiu, Zibao will definitely be injured. When they thought that the fat and cute Zibao might be injured, that he might have scars on his head and body, or that his arms and legs might be broken due to Wang Beizu's offensive, everyone felt very distressed and wanted to fly over to comfort Zibao. After Zhao Yang and Guo Xiuying heard about it, they hurriedly went to the family compound after work. As soon as he stepped into the family compound, he heard someone cursing. He took a closer look and saw that it must be the legendary Zhu Rong's wife Wang Beizu. She was standing at the door with her hands on her hips, cursing at the 4 soldiers who were guarding the door. The task of these 4 soldiers was to guard the door and prevent them from getting out, and their expressions did not change. The 4 brothers would not lose a piece of meat if they were scolded, but if they were let out, whether they were in the family home or the camp, many people would be affected, and they might lose half their lives. Wang Beizu, mother and son, are really bad. None of the dirty words they cursed are something ordinary people would be willing to repeat. Using feces to describe their dirt feels like an insult. After all, cow dung is a treasure on the grassland. Besides, he either greets other people's wives, children, aunts, or even threatens them. I'm hungry. If you don't get out of the way, I'll ask Zhu Das how to drive you out of the military camp, Wang Beizu said fiercely. One of the 4 soldiers was named Xiong Das Wang. As his name suggests, he had a tiger-like back and a bear-like waist. He was very ferocious in appearance. He often made children cry in his hometown. Later, he became a soldier. When he was a soldier, his father and fellow villagers were happy for him, and a group of naughty children clapped their hands and applauded, saying the big black bear was driven away, which almost made him angry, but it also showed the bear's strong appearance. After hearing Wang Beizu's words, he opened his eyes wide and grinned, revealing a pair of big white teeth under his full beard. He looked like a bandit. Captain Zhu is not qualified to drive us away. You are an old man. How much? Just go back to the house and wait for the company commander to come back. Everything is easy to say. If you continue to scold me, I will break the rule of not hitting women. As he spoke, he raised his big hand like a cattail leaf fan. If it were an ordinary person who bullies good and is afraid of evil, then he would be scared away, but Wang Beizu was not an ordinary person. She held her head high and her chest high. Not only did she not retreat, but she walked forward. You fight me? If you dare to hit me, I will say you are a gangster and bully a good woman. I will see if the army can chase you away. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 607. Xiong Das Wang really couldn't hit her. If he did, he would be in big trouble. In the moment of dilemma, Feng Qingxiu stood at the door of her small courtyard, holding a machete in her hand, and said, Xiong Das Wang, get out of the way, let her come out, let me see if she dares to take even a step forward. Today I was so frightened that my stomach hurt for a long time, and Zibao was so frightened that I couldn't call Hunter back several times, and I was no longer interested in eating. I was about to settle the score with her. I am not a soldier, and I am not afraid of being attacked by the army. The worst punishment is that I will chop her a few times and then go home. Anyway, I am pregnant with a child, so even if it is a punishment, I have to wait until the child is born and weaned. Although it was already evening, there was a lot of light in the plateau area, and it was still very bright outside. It was probably dark an hour or two later than in the mainland. Under the light, the blade of the machete shone brightly, and it was obvious at first glance that it was extremely sharp. Seeing her posture, not to mention the four soldiers, even Zhao Yang and Guo Xiuying were shocked. "Where did you get the machete?" Zhao Yang asked Guo Xiuying in a low voice. Guo Xiuying took a closer look and said uncertainly, "It looks familiar to me. It seems to be a machete specially used by the cooking class to chop bones. Old Liao is so sorry. Could it be that Lu Zhang went to him specifically to borrow this machete, to defend King Xiu? Lu Zhang can stay at home to protect his wife and children in the morning, noon, and evening, but not during training time in the morning and afternoon. After all, he has his own responsibilities." "That makes sense, it must be a Jiang's business." Zhao Yang nodded. Seeing the machete in Feng Qingxiu's hand, Wang Beizu's triangular eyes instantly widened as big as a cow's egg. Looking at Feng Qingxiu's menacing aura, she didn't look like she was joking, so her big feet that were about to step out quietly shrank back. Feng Qingxiu snorted and called to Zhao Yang and Guo Xiuying, "Brother Zhao, sister-in-law, are you here? Sit in the room." Zhao Yang and Guo Xiuying returned the gift to Xiong Dazhuang and the four others and entered the Lu family. As soon as they entered the door, the couple saw Zibao sitting at the Kong table, waving the ceramic spoon in his hand, scooping up a small wonton and slowly moving it to his mouth, swallowing it in one gulp. The temperature dropped in the morning and evening, and Zibao was wearing cashmere clothes, a red vest, and a small white bib. The cashmere clothes and trousers stick to the flesh, and the arms and legs are very visible. The thick arms and legs are full of flesh. Sitting there, he looks like a lump of flesh. There are 5 fleshy dimples on the back of his fat little hands. Not to mention how flattering he is. "Zibao, are you scared today?" Zhao Yang sat on the edge of the Kong and asked. Zibao ate another small wonton in one bite. No matter what Zhao Yang asked, he nodded, "Yeah. It's just an excuse." Feng Qingxiu smiled. "I understand." Guo Xiuying put the bag of things she brought on the Kong and said with concern, "I heard that you are pregnant. Are you not scared today? That Wang Beizu is really unreasonable. I have never seen such a person." Feng Qingxiu said, "Sister-in-law, don't worry, I'm not such a timid person. I wasn't scared. I didn't intend to make it public. It's not been 3 months. It's because Ajiang was afraid that everyone would be dissatisfied with me." With Wang Beizu's comparison, Bai Shui actually looks a little cute. Man, it is true that there is no harm without comparison. Guo Xiuying nodded, "When you are pregnant, take good care of yourself. Don't take everything on yourself. Where is Zibao? When I am free, you can send Zibao to me and I will help you take care of Zibao. You also don't worry about bad neighbors. In 2 days, the whole family will no longer be living here." Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 608. Feng Qingxiu was stunned and asked how the army solved the Wang Beizu matter. Although she had only met Wang Beizu once or twice, Feng Qingxiu had almost seen through Wang Beizu's nature. She was arrogant and fierce, and she was self-centered in everything. If others could not be cruel to her, they would not be able to fight her. Ordinary people would avoid her or avoid her everywhere. Tolerance has developed Wang Beizu's current character and methods. They finally joined the army and were willing to leave. Anyway, Feng Qingxiu didn't believe Wang Beizu would leave. It's not about leaving, it's Zhurong's transfer. Guo Xiuying sighed deeply. Zhurong told you brother Zhao first, and then went to see comrade commander and commander Yet. He applied to be transferred to a post on a high mountain. With the family. They all understood Zhurong's painstaking efforts, so they admired him even more. He did not shirk responsibility, but took full responsibility, vowing to prevent his wife and children from continuing to do evil, even at the risk of his own future. Zhurong is already the battalion commander, and his future prospects are certain. Although the sentinel is respectable and admirable and is indispensable to every army, his future is definitely not as good as Zhurong's now, and Zhurong is already on the list for the next promotion, it is certain. He gave up the opportunity for promotion just to guide his wife and children to change their ways. Feng Qingxiu was immediately in awe. She didn't expect Zhurong to make such a decision. It was really admirable. Whether as a soldier, a husband, or a father, he shouldered the responsibilities he should bear. No, because of the despicableness of his wife and children, he chose to divorce and cut off the relationship. After Lu Zhang came back, Zhao Yang and Guo Xiuying said goodbye, and Feng Qingxiu said to Lu Zhang, I listened to brother Zhao and sister-in-law. Battalion Commander Zhurong has made the right move and is gone. Lu Zhang nodded, the army has approved it. So fast. Lu Zhang smiled bitterly, can't we just hurry up? Those Xiong Dazhuang guys had terrible headaches. When I came back, Zhurong also came back. The four of them were complaining to Zhurong. They said they couldn't control Wang Beizu, and she almost ran out. In the next few days, Comrade Zhurong will be watching over his wife and children at home, and the deputy battalion commander will come to see him at home for the handover work, and the soldiers will help deliver the meals. Wang Beizu is willing to leave here with Zhurong and go to the outpost to station? Even if she doesn't understand the situation at the outpost, she shouldn't agree to leave, right? Feng Qingxiu asked. Zhurong said that this matter was left to him, and he promised to take away his wife and children. He also asked everyone not to reveal the specific situation of the outpost to Wang Beizu and others. At the same time, he asked the army to get two for his wife and children. You must have all the equipment you need to survive in a high mountain outpost, at least clothes, shoes, hats, and gloves, otherwise you won't be able to survive there. This is what it should be. If they really go, the army will not fail to prepare equipment for them. Feng Qingxiu knew the location of this post. It is one of the top 10 difficult posts in the country. It is located at an altitude of more than 5,000 meters. The spring was warm and the flowers were blooming, but there was only ice and snow. The sentinels stayed on guard and did not go down the mountain for many years. All supplies were sent up on foot from below. The conditions are far worse than here. Feng Qingxiu thought for a while, then continued, the cashmere clothes and wool clothes that you and I wore have been washed and put in the box. There are also cashmere gloves and socks that I knitted. You can take out 2 sets as gifts. Give Zhurong another piece of your sheepskin coat for him and his daughter to wear, and also apologize to him for me. I'm really embarrassed today, and I didn't give in at all. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 609. Lu Zhang packed up these warm clothes and did not send them directly to Zhurong's house. Instead, after the order was issued the next day, he called Zhurong out and stuffed the bundle into his hands. This is what Zibao's mother asked me to pack out. The winter clothes are for you and your eldest niece. They are knitted from cashmere yarn that she managed to get at home. They have very good thermal insulation properties. Zibao's mother asked me to tell you that I'm sorry. I felt that I didn't give you face that day, but I didn't want to. I'm sorry. In my heart, my wife and children are more important than my life. Zhurong smiled bitterly and said, Brigadier, if you don't blame me, I will be satisfied. How can you blame my sister-in-law? My sister-in-law is not wrong. I was blamed for not reacting and not stopping her. I should have apologized to my sister-in-law, but I keep my mother close by, and I am afraid that they will cause trouble, so I don't take time to see my sister-in-law. She didn't take it to heart, but admired your choice, saying that there are not many good soldiers, husbands, and fathers like you in the world who are as responsible as you. Lu Zhang patted him on the shoulder. Zhu Rong, we are below, if necessary, send me a letter. Yes, Brigadier, Zhu Rong saluted. When they were leaving, Lu Zhang suddenly remembered and whispered, there are some nutritional supplements in the bag, which are for your daughter. Zibao's mother said that your daughter has edema, lacks protein or some kind of nutrition, I don't remember. I understand very well. Anyway, if you watch her eat some nutritional supplements every day, the swelling will subside after a while, so don't starve her again. There were tears in Zhu Rong's eyes. Thank you, Brigade Commander, and thank you, sister-in-law, for your concern. Feng Qingxiu was not the only one who noticed Zhu Hongling's edema, but she was the first one to show kindness and did not blame Zhu Hongling for what Wang Beizu and her son had done. Zhu Rong was very grateful in his heart. After just 2 days of good food, Zhu Rong was about to be transferred to another post. Although he didn't know where he would be transferred, Wang Beizu felt that nowhere was as good as here. Otherwise, why would so many army leaders live here? Looking outside the camp, there were cattle and sheep everywhere. Killing a cow and a sheep would be enough to feed them for a year. Her 3 mothers had been salivating for a long time. I'm not going. You have to go by yourself. I'll take the kids to live here. Wang Beizu sat down on the kong. Anyway, I've been living like this for more than 10 years when you weren't at home. What's more, the conditions here are 10 times better than at home. We have enough to eat, and we don't have to work. Do you think it's rich and powerful? The 2 boys squatted on the ground and played with stones. They didn't even raise their heads, but they said in unison, yes, yes, yes. Only a fool would leave if he could have a full meal and not have to work. Zhu Hongling, who was leaning against the wall in the corner, treating herself as an invisible person, remained silent. She glanced at her parents secretly, only to see a flash of anger in her father's eyes. Just like the elders in the clan, she slowly lowered her head. No matter where her mother and brothers were, she would always follow her father. With her father, she knew what it was like to have a full meal. She didn't have to drink water to fill her stomach when she was hungry, and she didn't have to compete with cattle and sheep for grass. Zhu Rong exhaled slowly and said, here, many leaders are my superiors. I am like a soldier in front of them. I have to obey their orders no matter what. It is different at the outpost. I am the biggest leader at the outpost, no one will object to anything you want to do, and food, clothing, and accommodation will be provided by the army, and specially arranged people will be sent there. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 610. After hearing Zhu Rong's words, Wang Beizu's eyes lit up. Really? So, when she arrived at the sentry post, she was the Empress sung in the opera when she was a child. One person is inferior to 10,000 people. Wang Beizu was overjoyed when she thought of such a scene. She was used to being on top of everyone's heads. She liked how everyone gave in to her. Although there was no shortage of food here, there was no freedom at all. It was really uncomfortable. Habit. Zhu Fugui stood up suddenly and said, my father is the leader, so I am the son of the leader, so can I command the battle. What is this statement? Zhu Rong was angry. Who instilled this idea into him? Can the son of a great leader command his subordinates to fight? Is this a joke about human life? But at this time, he couldn't show it. Of course it's true. If I can't be a leader, Why should I be transferred to the outpost? With Zhu Rong's level, he must be a leader at the outpost. Wang Beizu was not deceived by these words. He answered Wang Beizu's words, ignored his son, and then released a fragrant bait, and you can get military allowances. In addition to salary and allowances, the army will also give me another part of the subsidies. I can get a few dollars more in total a month. When I save a lot of money, you can do whatever you want. Wang Beizu rolled his eyes and said, it's true or not, I don't know. Your leaders have to come forward for this matter. Only when they say this can I believe you didn't lie to me. Moreover, not only do you have to give out money, but you also have to supply rations and food. It's more important than money. Yes, 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 you have to take care of food, you have to take care of food, you have to take care of food, and you have to have meat, Zhu Fuegui interrupted from the side with a greedy look on his face. Zhu Rong had no choice but to find Commander Chen and Ye Zhenjun. Everything is ready and all we need is the east wind. This east wind needs to be sent by the leaders, and it is enough to deal with the wife and children in words. After hearing his purpose, Commander Chen said, you are here at the right time, Comrade Zhu Rong. After our private discussions, I, Commander Ye, Political Commissar Zhang, Commander Su, Commander Zhao, and Brigadier Lu each start from you don't have to worry about the rations issue. There are so many soldiers in the entire military division. If you squeeze it through your teeth, it will be enough for Wang Beizu, mother and son. Send supplies to the outpost together. Zhu Rong chose this path for the safety of the army and his family. Why would the army be willing to see his family have no food and clothing? It's just rations for a few people. Excluding the army allowance, the army actually needs very little. As for your son's request, Commander Chen smiled, there will definitely be no meat in the supplies, so he can rest assured. Comrade Commander. Zhu Rong was so moved that he didn't know what to say to express his deep gratitude. Power, money, and food rations are all things that can impress Wang Beizu and his two sons. Ye Zhenjun patted him on the shoulder, Comrade Zhu Rong, I hope you can complete the transformation of your wife and children as soon as possible, so that there will be more good people in the world. I hope you can return to the team as soon as possible. We welcome you back at any time. Zhu Rong saluted, Comrade Commander, please rest assured, Comrade Commander, please rest assured. While sticking to their posts, I will work hard to reform them and prevent them from bringing burdens and troubles to the country, the people, and all the fellow villagers. Now, please, Comrade Commander and Comrade Commander, move forward and prove that what I said in front of Comrade Wang Beizu is not a lie. I updated 6 chapters in one go, hurry up, vote, monthly recommendation votes, speed, it's the end of the month, monthly votes, rush forward.